and thank you for joining. This is Sharma, your host for today's event, Cybersecurity Careers in the Age of AI, an educational series hosted by ThinkHumble. Let me start with a simple question. With AI advancing this fast, how many of us are genuinely confident that the skills we are building today will still matter 5 years from now? In the middle of this, there is a field that keeps getting called future-proof, cybersecurity. But today isn't about hype tools or certifications. It's more about understanding why cybersecurity survives every technology shift and how AI is actually impacting and increasing responsibility rather than replacing it. Today, we are fortunate to have Saurabh Sharma with us, who is Manager of Engineering at Broadcom. Saurabh sir brings over 22 years of experience in building and running large-scale enterprise and cybersecurity platforms, including SIEM-based threat detection solutions, DX analytics, and security infrastructure used in real-world environments. But what makes his perspective even more valuable is this. He works in a system where AI assists, but humans remain accountable for decisions, failures, and outcomes. Saurabh sir, really glad to have you with us.
Thank you, Ved. Thank you for that impressive introduction. But in simple words, I'm just an enabler and a facilitator. I am just a small cog in the wheel. The system is pretty big. The domain is pretty big. So I try and do what I can do to best of my abilities.
Sure, sir. So to start the context for everyone joining us today, how do you define cybersecurity in just simple few sentences?
You have asked me a very tough question. To keep it simple, it's okay. Let me try and explain it in this way. If I have to give you the elevator pitch, I would say cybersecurity is the practice of protecting all our digital stuff from the possible attacks. But more importantly, it's the ongoing management of the risk that comes with if you don't protect it properly, or if the practice that you have in place is improper or prone to these attacks. So it's an ongoing management of the risk that an organization can do from what it needs to do safely and with trust. So whenever we talk about security, the two things that comes to your mind is trust and resilience and the availability. So that's the CIA triad, the very famous CIA triad. Whenever you go for any training, that CIA information, not the US CIA, but essentially confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So that's what security means. And cyber is obviously the internet world, right? So if I have to further simplify it, let's say you are building a castle. In the olden days, probably if you were building a castle, what you would need is a huge wall, maybe a ditch around, a moat around, and with some archer towers, right? That nobody can come in. It's the perimeter security that you're defining. But today, there is not a single door. You can have an employee joining from any location, be it a cafe, be it at home, maybe not a fully protected internet connection as well. So you have thousands of digital doors, right? So your worker is connected from all these possible locations, and your treasure is the data. You are joining in a network, in a private network. So the data that is in there, it isn't just in the dungeon that it used to be in the olden days. It's copied all over the cloud to make it the availability or to facilitate the easy accessibility of it. So the cybersecurity today is not just about building the higher walls. It's knowing about where your data is or where your treasure is. So that's the governance part, the data governance part. Now, earlier you used to have a gatekeeper there. So when you were coming in, somebody used to say, okay, it's like, now what you need to do, what's your action plan? So that's the incident response plans. But at the core of it, or at the heart of it, it's about preserving the trust your customers have when you give them your credit card. Like if I'm buying something, I'm entering my credit card details, right? And if you say, save this for future transaction, how comfortable the customer is that, okay, you will be not misusing it, or not anyone can access my data. So that's the trust they are putting in. And that's the personal information. So that personal information has to be kept safe. So that's what it's really defending about. And in some other terms, I can say we all have mobiles, right? So that's a new digital thing that we keep, and without even our knowing, we are kind of feeding it our personal data all the time. So when you open your mobile, maybe you're looking for your phone app. Oh, not phone app, maybe your banking app. So we all have a banking app that is installed on our mobile phones. We just open it, we look at our last transaction or maybe our balance, and then we just close it. But behind the door, we are relying on some invisible decisions, right? We are relying that nobody sitting in a remote location is able to run a script and empty our account in a matter of seconds, right? So that's the kind of invisible decision that we are taking. And while you are checking your mobile app, you see a WhatsApp message or maybe a Slack message, you respond to it, right? So that's again a context switching. But again, you are hoping that your message is not read by anyone else except the person that you're trying to send the message to. So cybersecurity is essentially the invisible shield that allows the modern life to exist. And most people, or for most people, what they think is cybersecurity is about hacking, or maybe some dark hooded folks sitting in dark room trying to hack something or break something, right? So it's not that. It's not just that. So cybersecurity, if plainly put, it's the art and science of trust. That's the underlying thing that kind of highlights everything. So it's a digital immune system of our global society. That's how would I like to sum it up.
Thank you for explaining so clearly, and sir, and it's also gives us a great foundation. So now AI is everywhere, from hiring to healthcare to finance, everywhere. So how is AI impacting the cybersecurity landscape?
The impact is for everyone to see, right? We hear both sides of the coin. We hear that people are losing jobs. That is also one sad reality. And at the same time, we see there are a lot of job openings which are not getting filled. So if I have to put it in this way, AI is having an impact, but it's an impact which can be managed if you are aware how you can utilize it to your best of your advantage, how you can leverage it for your advantage. So AI isn't just changing the tools, right? Now if let's assume that I have to create a script and I don't have that knowledge of that particular language, I don't know the syntax at all. So what's the route that I'm going to take? Do I need to read a book? Do I need to watch a YouTube tutorial? Or let me just log on to the internet, ask ChatGPT, give it a prompt. Hey, I would like to create a script which does this, which does that, and give me this response. So it will give an output within minutes, right? So that's how it is changing the speed and the scale of the entire game. Now you don't need to know the entire system before you write your first hello world. That's how AI is enabling it. In the larger context of things, think about it as a three-legged tool. So CI is a triad. So with engineers tend to think in the power of three, right? So in a three-legged system, you have people, you have processes, and then you have technology. So AI has essentially turned the technology leg, specifically the technology leg, into a rocket engine. So its speed is pretty fast. In moment you give it a prompt, you get an output. How valuable or how useful it is, we won't debate about that. But at least it gives you fast response, much faster than a human can give. So if we don't strengthen the people and the processes, so people is the trainings, the knowledge base, the process is about the governance, right? The governance side of the thing, how effectively you should, what kind of data you should feed. You should not be feeding in your personal credit card and telling him, hey, is it hacked? Right? That would be a stupid thing to do. So that's how you need to assign and align that information. If the technology is moving so fast and we are not adopting, the people are not adopting to it, or the process is not adopting to it, the tool will flip over. So that's the paradigm shift. So AI is no longer just a feature. It is the infrastructure of both crime and defense. The attacker is also using AI. He's like building a multiple agents and saying, okay, you keep on doing the brute force attacks. And in the meanwhile, I'll try and do the manual penetration and see what I can find. So he's also using it. And if you are trying to defend your system, you also need to be using it. You need to be able to clear out the noise and identify what is the real threat. So in 2026, we no longer talk about AI as a buzzword. We talk about it as a force multiplier. I can have a local agent running on my system doing some of the ancillary tasks while I focus main on the core logic. That's how I personally use it. If I have to do something, I'll say, okay, you give me this information, you do to track this information, or maybe give me some past historical information bits that I can utilize. And that's how we execute it. So AI has taken the battle that used to be fought at a human speed and moved it to the machine speed. So the pace that I was talking about is much higher. And the barrier. So the barrier to entry has vanished in cybersecurity, because earlier the person at least needs to use or read a lot more before he tries to get into something. With AI, you don't need any coding skills. So zero coding skills, and you can still launch a sophisticated multi-stage attack using an agent. So it's also the sword. So the sword is what they're trying to stab you with. Earlier, we used to see the fishy emails, right? Uh, they will give you do social engineering. They'll send out an email that looks like the real deal, giving you like just uh, uh, cashing into your panic. Like you see, hey, your AI, your Google account was accessed from this location. I think it's being hacked. Make sure you change the password, and I'll send you that mail with an email link embedded into it, and with some bad grammar, which we probably overlook because we are looking, hey, my Google account just got hacked. So that's the fishy email that used to be. Somebody used to do the social engineering, social reverse engineering, finding out your LinkedIn details, creating a highly personalized email, and then sending it to you. From there, to consider moving to deepfakes, like somebody calling you up. The voice is exactly like the person you knew. Like if you are having a manager, I can use his sample bits from any of the presentations or the recordings that I might have, and I can use deepfake to create something similar, but the script I will feed in. So that guy will be calling you in and saying, okay, I need these financial details, send me over the email. And for you, okay, the voice is very much like my CEO or very much like my manager. And without confirming again, you send out all the details. So it's like an attack which you don't even realize until unless your real boss comes into your office and say, hey, where did you send this email to? I never asked you these details. So that's how it is evolving. Now the most recent part is the agentic hacking, like hacker one, if you have seen, right? Those are the social platforms where people from all over the world try and find out different bug bounties. But now an agent was like number one. So agent is doing some bit of your job. But the other side of it, so the hackers are using it, the defense guys, the agentic SOS is also into the picture, right? We as the software professionals, we are also building our defenses up. So we have our own agents running in. So the traditional security, like I was quoting the example of finding a login from North Korea, or it was recently in the news that Amazon using analytics to identify the key patterns. So you're pressing a key and the next subsequent key takes almost like 3 seconds or 2 seconds. So based on these patterns, they were able to identify, hey, it's a proxied uh, access, and it's not the real access, and they were able to curb it in real time. So that's how also the defenses or the shield is kind of working. So that in simple words, traditional security waits for an alarm, right? This thing happened, raise an alarm. A dashboard would show up with some red underlinings. And the AI defenses predict where the next alarm would be. So not just we're relying on the information that is coming in, it's using it to analyze using the algorithm that they have built or kind of evolving. And they kind of predict as well, okay, this is the same time window. Next, maybe 18 hours afterwards, the same time window would come in again, or similar attack can happen. So make sure you're prepared for it, or maybe disable the access, or maybe do a step-up authentication whenever this thing can happen. So it's the new frontier. We aren't using just AI to secure the network. We have to use to secure the AI as well. I would give another example. You must have heard of stories like people giving in prompt and asking, You tell me how this tool was built or how you have built your own tool. So all the secrets are kind of in a uncontrolled passion. All the information from the agent is dumped to the user. So do you really want to use the AI just to get exposed to the world? So these are all the possible loopholes. So we are still adjusting to the new frontier, but it's very much there. It's not that you can stay at a distance or stay at the bank and say, okay, probably this world or this AI is not going to impact me. AI is impacting. That is true. But you have to use it as a tool to your advantage. That's something we all are doing. That's what all companies are doing, not just us.
Yeah, it truly seems to be changing the rules of the game, sir. But
Absolutely.
yeah, and we do have a lot of freshers here. So there is a question like, if I am a beginner and want to start in this field, what do you suggest I should do?
Again, I'll rely it on the power of three. If you are a beginner or a fresher in that industry, don't skip the basics. At least you should know how a network works. What is a TCP/IP? What is an OSI layer? How that information gets transferred? What is a data frame? Right? All that information needs to be there. You need to be able to learn to speak human. So security is 50% technical and 50% communication. You need to be able to explain why a risk matters to someone who isn't a techie. So your communication has to be important. And be AI native, not AI naive. So don't fear AI is going to take your job. Fear the person who knows how to use the AI to do your job faster. So use AI to accelerate your learning every day. Like if I give you a personal example, if as a matter of habit, I every day I go through some articles, be it on Medium, be it on CISO website, anywhere. So I try and go through all the articles. But if I'm not able to go through an article, I'll feed that link to the AI agent, my local AI agent that is using Olama. I try and feed that agent article to that agent, and I ask him, okay, summarize me the top 3 points, or give me the top three key topics that this article is talking about, and I get that summarized output that I can consume. So make sure that you at least use or leverage AI to your advantage. If you're not doing it, there is already somebody who is doing it, so he's your competitor. So don't be AI naive, be AI native. Use AI almost every day, but don't rely on it completely. So you are going to use it as a tool, but not the only tool in your arsenal. So that's where you need to make sure you build your other arsenals or sharpen your other skills, where you go for skills that you don't know. Like if you don't know about the OS fundamentals, if you don't even know what is a file handle, how it is going to poison your data, right? So these kind of concepts you need to be aware of. So do your basics, do the communication properly, and leverage AI. These are the three things I would say to the people who are trying to enter this world. And one of the important thing that I would like to say is avoid the certificate trap. Don't just collect those digital badges using some cheat sheet or dumb sheets, right? You clear the certification and you assume, okay, I'm all good. So certifications do help. I am not saying that certifications don't help. Certification helps you go through the initial scrutiny. So if there are 100 of resumes that comes to me, even we will be going and looking through the keywords that is there in the resume. But beyond that initial threshold, you would be asked. But if there is somebody who has a certification and somebody who says, okay, I built my own lab, I simulated an attack, and I also documented how I fixed it. So here are my findings on these particular portals. This is what I did. So those things would be much more impressive. And believe you me, if I find those resumes and if I'm hiring, probably I'll be hiring those people. So
Thank you so much for
what else?
stating all these things.
Yeah. So
Today,
no, sorry, I was just trying to add one more point up.
yeah, sure,
Because
sure,
when I
sure.
said build your foundation, or at least make sure that the digital literacy, you need to know everything about networking. it's cyberspace, right? So you need to make sure that you understand at least the basic fundamentals of things. You need to know how an HTTP protocol works, how an HTTPS protocol works, what is a DNS, right? If you come in an interview and you assume that you know and writing those scripts, sometimes people get stumped by a very basic question. Okay, how does a DNS work? And how, if I am flooding a system, what we need to do? What are your basic measures that you will be taking? So make sure you understand the whole picture. That's where your expertise or your presence would be felt. Otherwise, it's pretty difficult. And you can ask AI again, though there are multiple security certifications that are really helpful. Like if you're building your foundation, probably a certified ethical hacker is the minimum I would expect. That would at least ascertain that you know the OS fundamentals, you know the basic fundamentals of networking and the primitive hacking techniques. That's something that would be really helpful. And the things that I did personally, I created my own virtual machines or on virtual labs that or maybe if I have to put it as a home lab, I used VirtualBox. By then, at least VirtualBox was pretty famous. So I created VirtualBox. I downloaded some images that were freely available. And I tried to find in how I can find that defect or the vulnerability that is expecting or exposing, how I can exploit it. So these are the things I did personally, and it helped me in the professional life as well.
That's very clearly stated for the beginners, sir. And let me just flip that question a bit. If I am a mid-career and want to switch to cybersecurity, then what should I do?
Okay. So what I'm getting is you are asking me a question around if I am already having 6 or 7 years of experience in maybe Java or some other language, and I want to come into the cybersecurity world. Am I starting from zero? That's the basic question, right?
Yes,
sir. So this career switch is less about starting over. It's more about leveraging your existing business logic. So if you are exposed to an industry, let's say I am working in finance, and all I am doing is writing my code for a particular module, and that is mostly UI. So I am only mostly coding in JavaScript or maybe Angular or Vue.js. All these tools I'm using. And my job day in and out is creating that UI that the user is asking or the product owner is asking me to build. But are you only focused on that, or do you understand the business problem? Why are you creating it? So to put it, we need the adult in the room who understands how a business actually functions and can apply a security to it. So if you understand the domain and you apply security on top of it, that is much more required rather than only technology and I don't even understand the business case. So if you are not a beginner, you are most likely pivoting your career towards the security side of the things, but you still know a domain pretty well, right? So your security applications would be applicable to those domains. And believe me, cybersecurity is not very small. I am still a student of this domain. So I don't understand all the multiple domains. We need a subject matter expert of a specific domain and then tell, okay, these are the possible risks that you can be exposed to. But you need to tell me what all do you use and then apply it. It's not a generic application. You can't simply say, okay, you have an antivirus, so you're secure. It's not the case. Antivirus can help you till a certain level, but it cannot protect all the attacks. So if you ask about a roadmap to transition without dropping back to an entry-level salary, that's one way to go about it. So you have a domain, you have built your expertise, you understand the business case, that's a must-have. That's something that you need to have before pivoting to security. But if you're only working as a developer, I specifically say it as developer, not as an engineer. So when you're only working as a developer, you are only concerned with the rally item or the Jira item. This is the UI that I need to create, and I'm only focusing on how to create this UI. I'm only looking on the technical side of things. I'll create a class, I'll create a function, I'll probably use a React state. that is good knowledge, but what we need is little more. You need to understand why we are doing it. What is the business use case you're trying to solve? How the end user is going to use it. So end-to-end case, that's what helps us understand the possibilities of exposure, and that's what we try and solve by applying this security. So uh, and coming back to the original question, so I know this, I know my domain, and I have around 5 or let's say, on the safer side, I have 7 years of experience. Now I want to get into the security. So what would help me or enable me to move into this particular thing? So first, you need to identify what is your current field. It is a finance, accounting, healthcare, project management, legal, general security, IT admin, right? So first you need to identify. Then you identify what is the bridge role. The bridge role is what can I what can I have, or what can I go for in terms of a security certification that can help me build that knowledge. So if you're in finance, right? So governance, risk, compliance, audit, right? So you need to understand all these things. That then only you can say, okay, I know this domain. If you talking about healthcare, you need to understand the HIPAA, the privacies, like this. What does it actually mean to store a particular customers or particular patients all digital records at a particular location? How do we secure? How do we store it? How do we encrypt it? So at least you need to understand the whole picture, and then you need to find out the technical grip, the bridge that we have. So if the information, I'm working mostly on the UI. So do I really understand how this information is submitted? How is it stored? How it is accessed again? Is it REST endpoint? So you need to understand the whole breadth of it. So you need to build your networking foundation. You need to understand the DNS. You need to understand the information that is being sent across. If you are doing HTTP communication, how can we do HTTPS communication? So you need to at least make sure that you understand the whole big picture, and then identify the gaps that you don't have as of now. So I'm only focused on building a beautiful UI. I don't understand how the data at rest is being secured. So that's the gap. How I can bridge that gap. What is it that is going to help me? Is there a training that I can do? Is it a course that I can do? So you need to make sure that you're a step ahead of the challenge, but understand the whole picture. That's the basic message that I can try and give. And again, because this is all about AI, so you need to make sure that you understand the AI aspect of it, or how you're leveraging AI to help you. So if you're using something and you don't even know what's the other side of the things, you can ask AI to say, okay, in similar situation to this, how this information is transferred. So that will give you some alternatives. And those alternatives will be helpful when you are getting into a discussion. And when you get into a discussion, your stature from developer to engineer would grow. You would understand how the other things are working. That's the only thing that I can say.
That's a very realistic and honest roadmap, sir. I want to pause here for a moment, and want to know something personal. Like, we know that you have worked in cybersecurity for over 2 decades and across many technology shifts. So could you please share one or two real-world cybersecurity threats or incidents that you have worked on, and what professionals can actually learn from them?
So let me put a disclaimer first. I have worked in the domain of networking. I've worked in the domain of security. I've never worked as an SOC analyst. I create softwares that enable them to use it. I study cybersecurity. So because without knowing what the customer is asking for, we cannot build it. But my domain is mostly building the software that are the enablers. But the coming to your question, so any real world examples I'm trying to think of without naming companies and individuals. Okay, so you must have all heard of Log4j vulnerability, right? That was not that many years ago, but not very recent as well. So Log4j vulnerability was like internet was on fire that day when it kind of came in and said, okay, this 1.17 or 1.16, I don't even remember the version now, but that version was vulnerable, and companies were like sending out release notes or sending out emergency notes to the web, to the consumers. Okay, and it affected everything. Like, you wouldn't even have realized that how all the softwares that we're using, we don't even realize what internally they're using. So the dependencies of dependencies of dependencies were somehow connecting to the log4j. And till that news came out, nobody was even aware that this thing, simple thing that we use for only dumping the log messages, can be used as an exploit and can be used to infect your systems, and can be used to expose all the internals of your system. Having that vulnerability, everyone was in a panic mode. From your CEO to your directors to your VPs, everybody said, "Hey, are we using Log4j? Are we using Log4j?" So that day, my inbox was like completely full. Can you tell us? Can you tell us? So, how we dealt with it? We all use, or in every organization, we use some tools. So that kind of highlights all the dependency you have for a particular release. And when you churn out a release or any, if you're building a software, so you will have to give a bill of materials, right? What all softwares you haven't used internally. So all the open sources that you're using, you kind of list it up. So when you realized you are not even using that part of the log4j, that is vulnerable. So you know you are safe, but the man above you doesn't know that you are safe. So you have to do that effective communication going back. Hey, okay, we know it is vulnerable. We will patch it, but we don't need to patch it immediately, because the attack, and this is how it is being used to attack the software vendors or the consumers, is not applicable to us. So that understanding has to be from a real person, because you know how you have built it. So those things needs to be understood. And that was one of the examples that I could relate to from the recent past. And if I go back a little further, and I used to work for like an anti-piracy software. We used to have uh, some hardware-based USB dongles, and if you need to run that software, you need to insert that USB dongle. Only then we were able to, the user was able to run that software. Without that, the moment you take it out, after a few seconds, the software would say, "Okay, I'm not able to find out this USB dongle, and I'm going to stop working." So in one of the presentation that let's say one of my colleague was presenting how a software can be protected. So in to demonstrate how to protect it, first he had to demonstrate how you can hack it. So they literally installed that software. They went into the registry entries, kind of did their magic, and passed that exe. So it was a like, you have exe formats as well, right? For every platform, would be it like a portable executable, or in Linux there is a different other format. So in that binary sections of there, they were able to do some magic, kind of erase some of part of that code which was actually looking for a particular key. They were able to erase it and say, okay, hey, here is how easy it is to hack your application, and how easy it is to use this application without even paying you. So I installed uh, uh, like a free version of it, and I then upgraded to the fully licensed one without even buying your software. So in the process of demonstrating that, he showed it to him, and the customer's like, "Hey, are you selling my software to this Nehru place?" And it's like, no, I'm not doing it. So, and but it was pretty funny. Like, he said, "Okay, I'm going to sue you, man. You are the person who is selling it." So that's how it effectively happened for me.
That's amazing to hear, sir. And trust me, nothing explains cybersecurity better than real life experiences. And this brings us down to our final question, actually, because we are already running out of time. So let's just ask this. What is your advice to professionals to stay relevant in AI era?
Let me gather my thoughts here. Um, in 2026, for staying relevant, because I'm using the term staying relevant. So to stay relevant, it's not about learning about AI anymore. It's about using AI and becoming an AI orchestrator. That's how you need to move, or that's how you need to evolve your own skills. If you want to be indispensable in this era, you have to make sure that you're shifting from the operator just using the prompts to making sure you know how to use it. So everything is moving towards the agentic AI. You need to know how you can handle those agents, or you can create those agents to suit your business needs. So you need to understand the big picture, but you also need to understand how you can reach or solve that particular question. So you need to make sure you have agentic oversight. You need to know how to set the rules of engagement. Using an AI comes with its own risk. Like some of the peers have realized, like when you expose an AI agent, it's not just exposing your capabilities, it is also uh, exposing your proprietary information, because you haven't set any rules for it. So it asks, okay, can you give me the balance sheet, or can you give me the secrets, or can you give me where it is this information stored, or can you give me the internal implementation? So it will dump out everything for it. It's just a question that came in, and I need to answer it. But you need to make sure that you identify those rule sets of engagement, obviously, and how you identify it as a genuine question to as a threat, and then address it accordingly. So you are the judge and the AI is the jury. So you need to make sure that you are able to comprehend that. And I would say in the cybersecurity specifically, it's not just about protecting databases. It's about protecting the whole pipeline. You need to make sure that you understand the new OWASP. So how many of you might have heard of OWASP? I'm not sure, but at least try and Google it. You must see what is OWASP. What are the top 10 hacks that are mentioned in the OWASP? Like in 2021, the SQL injection was something that was really on the top. Now in 2026, it's about data poisoning. It's about prompt injections. You need to know the AI red teaming, how the agents are being used as a digital employee, and they are trying to contribute or hack. And there are many other things. Probably I should do a Google prompt, and it will tell me what other action items that we can take. And what else? You can also use the people, process, and technology. So these are the three things I mentioned, right? So as technology is getting automated, the people and the pillars also are valuable. The whole system is standing on this, and then top of it, probably the resilience. Resilience is something that makes all the system usable as well. So AI cannot handle the business context or the ethics. So for that, you need some human intervention. The skill is the complex decision making. If a breach happens, AI can tell you, okay, a breach is happening, but what is the impact of it? So like a breach happens, what is the political impact of it? What is the reputational impact of it? What is the countermeasure? What do we need to do? Do we need to make a public announcement? How do we need to make a public announcement? When do we need to make a public announcement? So that's the other side of the effect. AI cannot do that for you. So that's the other thing. And your ability to translate the AI risk into business language for the people above, for the board of directors, right? That's something that should be able to do. Like there are laws in US that the executives are personally liable for the decision that they're taking, right? So if you are investing heavily into AI and they are AI failures, who's going to answer it? You can't simply blame it on the technology. So there is a people aspect of it. So they need people, professionals who can provide a verifiable governance. It's a very deep statement. Like AI consumers, but who is going to? I got a question somewhere. How can AI secure? That is in a session in itself, man. But I'll come to that later. So this is I got digressed. So this is the multiple aspects of the AI and how AI is kind of creeped into this area. So people are still adapting to it. It's not that we have answers to everything. Every situation requires a different answer depending on the context. So, but if I create a checklist, if you're talking about simply phishing, earlier what we used to do was tell people how to look for the link or the URL, look for typos, right? Now the context has shifted to, what if it is a deepfake? How would you teach people to verify it is a fake audio or a fake video call that you just attended? Like, even if you're on a video, you cannot identify it is really the person who's speaking, because there are some softwares that are available that do real-time manipulation. I'll be speaking in my own voice, but there would be a face superimposed on my face, and you would feel that the person who's speaking is somebody else. You must have seen, like, it was Mission Impossible or something. They had people superimpose Tom Cruise's face on another actor's face, and it was very realistic. It's very hard to find out. Earlier there were few edges, but it's very hard to find out now. So that's how we have moved away, and that's what we need to focus on. Uh, Earlier, we used to do a manual triaging. If an alert comes in, you need to identify what is happening. Wow, AI does that filtering for you. It reduces the noise and focuses on the meat of the information where it needs to focus. We used to manually write the security steps. Now you get a bootstrapped code in within minutes. So that's how we have actually moved away. And that's my advice. Now I guess we had some questions as well.
Yes, sir. Thank you for this honest advice, sir. Yes, we do have one question for you. That how can we secure AI models to prevent attackers from manipulating training data or misusing model predictions, especially when using AWS Bedrock? What additional measures should we take to protect our own data beyond AWS managed security services?
So personally, I've not used AWS Bedrock. The LLMs that we have used, I can talk about that. But for AWS, probably I need to see the guidelines, how they define it. But strictly speaking, from my own experience, you need to have your rule set defined, and that rule set needs to be hardened enough that it understand that it cannot go beyond. Like, simplest example is, if you talk about Tiananmen Square, right? If you ask to a specific LLM, and if the rules have been defined, you won't get the desired response. It would simply say filtered out response. So that's how you define those guardrails within which that a model has to operate, and that has to be tested enough before you're exposed. So that's how what we need to do.
Thank you, sir. So that's it from our side. But before we close, I want to take a moment to sincerely thank Saurabh sir for joining us today. Taking time out of busy schedule to contribute to an initiative like this is never easy. And we truly appreciate the honesty, depth, and the clarity you brought to this conversation, sir. On behalf of ThinkHumble, thank you for sharing your experiences. And to everyone who has joined us today, thank you for giving your time and attention. We hope this session helped you think more clearly about cybersecurity, careers, and the kind of skills that truly last, even as technology changes. Thank you once again, and have a great time. Thank you, sir.